Hi everybody, and welcome back to your second module of your financial literacy course. In Module 2, we will discuss money management. This module will be broken up into two different sections. Section 1 deals with developing your financial goals, and then Section 2 talks about developing a financial plan for you and how exactly you can go about smartly in spending your money. We start here today using two high school students as our examples. Michael and Selena, two students of different backgrounds, two students of different ages, and most importantly, students who have a common goal. They need to save money and they need to develop financial goals much like you may in order to best pursue their future. Starting with Michael, he's a senior, he lives at home. He does have a part-time job, but he brings in minimum income, and he's responsible for many of his own expenses. His biggest goal is saving for college. Selena, on the other hand, is simply a high school freshman. She lives at home. She has occasional jobs here and there, mostly babysitting, and she gets money from her parents to spend whatever she may need. We start with Selena and we look at this idea called the latte factor. For you, it might be something different. It might be a certain Gatorade or a Powerade or a pop, or it might be a coffee, or it might be Chipotle or your favorite meal. But every single one of us has some type of item that more often than not we spend money on. The question is, how much money do we spend on it, and can we go without it? Selena, in this case, spends her money on lattes and iced coffee every day after school. She takes $3, she goes to her nearest Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, Panera, whatever it might be, and she spends that money. Well, when you do the math, in a week she spends $15. $3 a day, 5 days a week. You add that up over the course of an entire school year. Roughly 180 days in a school year, $3 a day. Selena is spending $540 a year just on iced coffee. Well, if you really sit down and think about it, she could do many other things with that money. She could save it. She could spend it on other items that she might really need. Or she could use that money to help her advance her financial goals. I think we can all admit that spending money on a latte is not considered a sound financial goal. Selena's only a freshman. In her upcoming high school year, she'll have dances she needs to go to, she'll have a car she may need to buy, she'll have supplies for school, and she'll have things that she might want to do in her spare time. On top of that, she's going off to college hopefully in 4 years, so she'll need to save up for that as well potentially. When you really sit down and we look at what can we save our money for, Michael or Selena all need to save their money for things that they need. As consumers in this economy, we all have things that we have to have in our lives in order to get by. It can be things like water, or basic meals, or a place to live, or even transportation to go to school or to go to work. Many of those things are not guaranteed to us, but they are things that without, we would have trouble surviving. There are some other things as well. Clothes, obviously, would be one of those needs that we have to have. They're essential to our health and security. But many other things in our lives are wants. They're things that make our lives more interesting and fun, but we can probably get by without. Music, our phones, our iPads, our computers, all things that we can somehow, some way figure out a way to live without. Snowboarding or whatever your favorite hobby might be. That ice cream cone that you have every now and then even air conditioning, something that many of us have, some of us don't, but we view as such an essential tool we can definitely live without. Take a second to think about what else you might have that would fall under the wants category. I could almost guess that all of us would say there are a variety of different things we could probably go without. So in terms of developing financial goals, we first need to understand what's a need and what's a want. What do we have to have and what do we want to have in our lives that'll help make things a little more interesting for us. And we develop with these SMART goals. SMART goals is simply an acronym for the different types of things that we need to ensure we are doing when we sit down to make our financial goals. Every single one of us should have financial goals that are specific. If we don't know what we're saving our money up for, if we don't know what we're going to spend our money on, then oftentimes the old saying of money burning a hole in our pockets comes about because we have an itch to spend, so we need to be specific. We must also be measurable. We need to know how much money we need to save, or how much of a given item we need to save. We can't simply say, I would like to have a computer, but have no idea how much a computer actually costs. We need to give ourselves the ability to know what type of money we need to save. The third in this is attainable. All of us might like to drive a Lamborghini, or drive a fancy car, or have the best computer, or go to the most expensive college. But the reality of the situation is we are all different, and we all come from different backgrounds. Therefore, whatever goals that we set out for ourselves must be based on an individual idea, but also must be attained or attainable by that individual. Fourth, we have relevancy. Every goal that we set needs to be relevant, and it goes hand in hand with being time-bound. I highly doubt that Selena is worried about her college career. I highly doubt that Selena would want to start to save money for something that's not going to happen in the next few days. So relevancy comes into the picture because yes, we may want to save money, but we also need to understand that there's a fundamental problem and a fundamental flaw with saving money for something while we have other expenses at hand. We need to make sure every goal we have is relevant, and every goal we have is one that can be attained in a timely manner. We can't sit down and say that I'm going to save $100 over the course of the next 6 years. It just doesn't make very much sense. But saying I'm going to save $100 over the course of the next 6 weeks so I can do so-and-so or buy a ticket to a concert or whatever it might be is a much more time-bound goal, and one that we are much more likely to achieve. To go into a little more detail about these SMART goals, is the goal specific? We need to know exactly what will be accomplished and who else will be involved. Is it an individual goal? Is it a goal that I might be able to achieve with a little help from my friends or family? Where will this take place? Is this a goal that's going to happen in the area that I live? Or is it a goal that's going to happen somewhere away from my home? And then why do I want to accomplish this goal? We all have to have a purpose in accomplishing a financial goal, or else it may not come true. We'll go back to Mike for a second here. Mike, we're going to put in a situation where he needs to replace all 4 tires on his car because the treads are worn out. So there's Mike's specific goal. He needs to replace the tires on his car. We then look at, is the goal measurable? How will I know that I succeeded in attaining my goal? How much change needs to occur? This change could be in my daily life. It could be in the amount of hours that I work. It could be in my spending habits. But there may be changes that need to occur in order for us to achieve this goal. And then how many actions will it take? How many times do I have to put $1 into a jar at my house in order to ensure that I'm saving up the amount of money I need? We'll go back to Mike and his tire situation. We know that Mike needs to have tires on his car simply because the treads that he has now are unsafe to drive on. He has snowy and rainy conditions in the future. Just like sitting here in Northeast Ohio, we know that in the very near future there could be snow on the ground and there could be rain at any moment. So we need to make sure we have good tires on our car. So the first thing that Mike needs to do is find out how much new tires will cost. That's how he'll know if he succeeded or not. Was he able to save up enough money to get those new tires? He'll save the money. That's the change that needs to occur. And the biggest action in this is to schedule an appointment to replace those tires. So those 3 items fall in line with whether or not we can measure this goal. A little more detail about the attainability of the goal. Do I have or can I get the resources needed to achieve this goal? I highly doubt Mike has 4 tires sitting around his garage that he can throw in his car. So he knows what the resources are. Is the goal a reasonable stretch for me? Meaning, is it out of reach or is it too easy? Saying you want to save up $1.75 so that you can go down to your nearest ice cream stand and buy an ice cream cone is not a very reasonable goal. It might be a little too easy to do that. At the same time, saying you want to save $1,000 over the course of the next 2 weeks to go out and buy yourself a new iPad or a new computer might be a little much for us to achieve. So are the actions that I plan to take likely to bring success? We know that Mike has saved money and he's also working, so he has multiple ways to achieve this goal. In addition to that, other actions that he might be able to do is to compare prices so that he knows that he's getting the best possible deal on those 4 new tires that he has to buy. The R in the SMART goals relevancy. Is the goal relevant? Is this a worthwhile goal for me right now? You look outside and it may be a nice day. So it may not seem like buying new tires, the safety of your tires, is that big of a deal. But it may still be worthwhile. On top of that, will it delay or prevent me from achieving a more important goal that I might have? And am I willing to commit to achieving this goal right now? We know that Mike needs to replace his tires and wants to replace his tires. They're worn out. We know a couple things may stem off of this replacement of tires. He may get better fuel efficiency in his car. He may have the reduction of risk in terms of getting a flat. But he also, the general safety and the general mindset that he is now in a better standing and his car is in a better standing than what it was prior to getting those new tires, is a big deal. And then time bound. What's the deadline and when do I need to take action? We know that in this situation Mike needs new tires soon, but he puts a deadline there for himself and he says, I need to reach this goal by the end of next month. If I do so, I know I now have an exact time frame when I need to save this money. I know it's achievable. I know it's specific. I know it's measurable, and I know it's relevant. Now I have a time frame when I can save this money up in. In addition to that, I know now I have to get those additional prices, I have to get those quotes, and I have to make an appointment through which I can go and get my tires replaced. So we look now, let's take another step forward and let's look at some goals that Selena and Michael might have. Outside of the tires for Michael, he might also say that he wants to save money for college next year. He might also say that he wants to buy a new computer in January. Selena might say she wants to save $100 for a trip to the outlet mall or buy a new music player. Well, that's fine. These are 4 goals, and 2 for each, obviously, that might have some relevancy in their lives. But think about the SMART idea. Are they specific? Are they measurable? Are they attainable? Are they relevant? And are they time-bound? If you look at Selena's goals, we know saving $100 for the trip to the outlet mall. That's probably specific, and it's measurable because she knows how much she needs. It might not be that attainable because her jobs don't pay her that much just yet. Probably not relevant either because we know it's going to buy material-based goods and there's no time put on it. The same even could be said for her second goal as well. But remember, Selena's a freshman. She's young. She's going to grow and she's going to mature. She's going to get her priorities straight. If you switch back to Michael and you look at what he has said, saving money for college next year, there's no specific amount of money that he needs. It's not measurable because we don't know how much money we need to save. Sure, we can say it's attainable because we can save money for college. It's obviously relevant and it's obviously time-bound with next year included there. Michael's second goal in buying a new computer, it's specific because we know that we need a computer, but still there's no dollar amount attached to it. It's not quite measurable, but it is attainable because we have a general idea of what computers cost. It's relevant. He'll need a computer either to finish out his high school career or to take to college, and it's obviously time-bound because we see January there. The idea behind this is if we really were to look at any goal that we set out for ourselves or someone else sets out for themselves, we need to understand, can we attain it and when can we attain it? So we need to plan ahead. A smart financial investor, or really a smart consumer in general, always has an idea of whether or not their goals will fall into one of these 3 categories. Is it a short-term goal? Is it an intermediate goal? Or is it a long-term goal? And the idea of money management is not, let's save 60 cents and not go buy a bag of chips from the vending machine. It's what bigger goals do I want to achieve in my life? What goals do I want to achieve that might not be part of my everyday life right now, but might be in the future? For you high school seniors out there, 3 months from the time you're going to view this video is going to be right in the spring of your senior year. The goals that you're starting to set out for yourselves could very well be ones that will impact your immediate future when you graduate from here and when you go out to school. 3 months from a year to now, you're going to be in college. You're going to be off on your own, or you're going to be working, and you may still be off on your own, and you're going to have to take whatever money you have and budget it in a way that'll be most beneficial for you. These goals are goals for you. When you get older, your long-term goals may be goals that are right for your family, or whatever people are involved in your life. So we're always planning ahead. We're always trying to delay those goals for the future so that we can make the most sound financial decisions possible. That's it for Module 2. We'll come back into the second part of Module 2, and we'll look at our own given plans and how we will spend the money that we have.